Hi, what is up everyone? It is Truth Reviews here. Hope you guys have been staying well. Hope you guys have been doing well and staying safe as usual. If you like the video, leave me a like, hit the bell and subscribe. If you don't, tell me how to improve. I'm always open to suggestions. Also, please give me suggestions where to go from here. I got some great ones from the other Fallout video, but if you want to keep doing Fallout content, let me know by giving a like or by leaving a comment. Let me know your opinions and thoughts about the Institute in the comments below. So without further ado guys, we will get straight into the topic of the video. Hope you guys are doing well, stay safe, stay cool. It's been Truth. This is it, we are here, finally. We have made it to the Institute. You could say it is the finale of my first ever proper series on YouTube. Before the video starts properly, I just want to thank you all so much for the support of my Fallout series. I appreciate it always, and I will be putting these videos into a playlist if you want to look at my takes on any other factions in Fallout 4, so thank you ever so much. Finally, like I say, we are here. We have been over the railroad, and why, in my opinion, they don't work. We have been over the Minutemen and talked about what they could have been and should have been, and what they did do well, and how they're definitely not socialists. Once again, my mistake. And finally, we have been over the Brotherhood and why their art design, and they are my second favourite faction in Fallout 4, and why they work. But now, it is time to go over the Institute, and finally talk about why their presence in Fallout 4 works so well, and why they can do so much good for the Fallout universe. So just quickly, if you're new to the channel, basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to introduce you to the Institute, what they're all about, what they stand for. I'll go over why I really enjoy them and why they work. I apologise if I get anything wrong. I haven't played too much of the Institute's faction as a whole, which is a surprise, I know, considering they're probably my favourite faction. However, I just had to make this video. It's too good not to. And towards the end, I'll talk about things I didn't like or I think they could have done to improve them. And then I'll obviously do an outro. So let's do this. The Institute are Fallout 4's boogeymen, and what I mean by this is this faction is the mystery faction of the bunch. This faction is the big sort of gotcha moment, like we had in Fallout New Vegas with Siege's Legion. This is the led to be bad faction, which turns out has a moral compass. Fallout 4 starts with you, if you pick a man, obviously, you lose your wife. If you pick your wife, you lose your husband, and your son is taken no matter what. It is taken by what you believe to be is the Institute. So you go on a wild goose chase of many different factions, trying to get into the Institute until you do. And this moment for me was key. It was the moment I went, wow, Fallout 4's writing can do amazing things. It was when father starts to talk to you, who is your son, about the Institute. But before we get into that, let's talk about the Institute. The Institute's premise is that they have replaced people with robots. Not just any robots, synths. Synths look completely identical to humans, well, most of them. Earlier synth models are basically just robots, whereas these new versions that replace people, think of them as like androids from Detroit Become Human. Except they are much more advanced and much more powerful, such as the infamous Coursers, which are the human variant, which are led to be very powerful. I kind of wish they were more powerful than they actually are, if I'm honest. The Institute create fear through the Commonwealth in replacing and kidnapping people with synths, whether these be powerful public figures in the Commonwealth or other people. They do this. Basically, the story of the Institute was that when the bombs dropped, scientists hid in a vault and began to expand this mass vault into what we know now as the Institute base, the most technological advanced society of people arguably in Fallout. And, without a shadow of a doubt, it's the cleanest place we have ever had in a Fallout game. So the Institute want to improve the Commonwealth with technology, but they are of the opinion that the ground is completely wasted and everything above it, we cannot mix with everything above ground. They don't hate ghouls and super mutants and things like that, they just don't see it as scientific progress, so the Institute turned to living under the ground. So their way of improving the Commonwealth is a lot different, and I really like it. The Institute's whole sort of goals is basically just improving their underground and improving themselves. They really just want to rebuild the Commonwealth first under and then over, which is such a cool gimmick. I love it so much. It's so cool. So you've heard about the Institute and what they sort of stand for. Now, let me talk to you about your son. It's revealed later on that you were frozen for 200 years and your son was thawed out. He is now the father, they call him. I know, not confusing at all. Thank you very much, Bethesda. Fucking great idea naming your son father. Absolutely great. Anyway, he's thawed out, and when you are thawed out, he now controls the Institute. When you go up to him and you confront him about, you know, everything, he makes quite a strong case. And this was I remember actually playing this. It was late at night. It was about 12, and I remember being a bit tired, and I got into the Institute, and I was very excited to finally get there. And I was so angry towards Sean, who is your son, because I was convinced it wasn't him. And then he started to convince me about the Institute, and I had this whole, like, Caesar's Legion sort of moment hit me where, wow, their morals do work. While Sean's like whole story about the Institute, I won't defend it. It can be broken with about 5 nails thrown at it. It collapses because obviously the Institute are very fucking ruthless, and Sean sort of just accepts this. And it doesn't help that Sean is the biggest arsehole in Fallout ever. Like, he straight up admits to you once that the only reason he had you thawed out was as like a fucking science experiment, which I love, because it's like, what the hell, man, you're supposed to be my son. Sean, I sort of understand as a character kind of what Bethesda were going for. They really wanted they wanted him to be your son, so obviously, naturally, because you've been trying to get him this whole time, you'd want to lean to him, but they sort of try and balance it out by making all the scientists sort of weird and arseholey-ish, because they have no sort of moral compass, because they never see what's going on above them, but it just comes out as Sean being a massive dick, and it makes him very unlikable. But I digress. We're here to talk about the good things about the Institute first. And the first thing I want to talk about the Institute is their stature and their design and the influence they have. The Institute for me are so interesting just off of the fact that they are the boogeymen of the Commonwealth. I love that first scene where you get into Diamond City and that guy shoots that other guy because he thinks he's a synth. I wish there was more moments in the story that really built on this whole synths and Institute is terrifying, because we really get only a few bits of it, and it annoys me quite a bit. I really wish they built on this fear, this real mongering fear. Also, I wish there was like one more sort of synth. The Gen 1s, or the, I can't, gosh, please correct me if I'm wrong, please do, but it's the older gen synths, which are just robots, and then these new gen synths, the coursers, are built up by everyone. The Railroad warns you about killing one is near to impossible. The Brotherhood warn you about killing one. The Minutemen are irrelevant. But everyone's scared of coursers, and then you fight one, and it's just pretty mid. I won't lie, it's pretty mid. They are, don't get me wrong, I love their design, but I wish there was more to them. Also, they all look the fucking same, so how no one clocked the fact that they all wear like leather jackets and shit is just hilarious to me. Obviously, I know Bethesda did this for budget cut reasons and for, you know, time, but I just find it funny that it's the same. To me, it looks like the exact same Corsair just running around doing all these bad things and replacing like people. I just find it funny. Anyway, I digress. I wish there was more moments like this, though, in Diamond City, where people are scared of the Institute, because there are some really, and when it's done well, I mean it's done really well. For example, that flashback with, like, when you're in Kellogg's head, the guy who kidnaps your son and kills your wife, you see, like, you can see him meeting the Institute, and he meets one guy, and he describes it as them sort of being this just, not a person, the Institute's never a person, but more of just, it's like the Illuminati or something like that. It's something you instantly fear because there's more than one of them. You know it's a group. You know it's so big you can't contain it. And this in Fallout is done so well. The Institute are made by every faction. No faction, and I love this because I have a lot of problems with all the factions talking and working together with each other. But in Fallout 4 they do this excellently. Every faction betrays and builds the Institute up so well. It's great. The Railroad talk about how ruthless and scary they are. The Brotherhood talk about how ruthless they are. The Minutemen, Yeah, the Minutemen, yeah, we'll ignore them. I also said I love the art of the Institute, and I'm not lying. Inside the Institute base, I love their base. It's the biggest in Fallout 4, and it's sat with me right next to, controversial opinion here, but right next to the BOS base, the Brotherhood of Steel. I love their base as well. To be fair though, I love all the bases in Fallout. I mentioned in my Railroad video how I love their base. And if you're into building and stuff, I can see why the Minutemen base is great. I mean, God, I should... Do you want to see, just let me know quickly, do you want to see me, like, ranking bases in Fallout 4? I could do a video on that if you guys want to see it. Anyway, I digress. The Institute base is amazing. I love it. It's big, it's spacious, and it really conveys that they are so much better than the other factions when it comes to technology and equipment and advancement in everything. Also, the art of the Institute, like their art design, it's so cool, and their main music, I mean... Oh, it's just, listen to it. Every faction's base in Fallout has its own main music, but the Institute's, oh, it's like unsettling and just weird, and it always gives me like sort of goosebumps, but not. Anyway, I won't go too much into the Institute's like plot line, but I'll briefly go into it. You join the Institute, you do a couple quests for them, tampering and dismantling factions and stuff like that. The thing that I like about the Institute is they actually talk about the Minutemen. There's a side quest where you have to go and like tell your Minutemen to stand down against the Institute if you pick them, and I love stuff like that. I wish there was more of that. The Institute, their ending is very fun. It's very fun. You basically just kill all the other factions and steal a lot of technology, and the Institute do convey this whole strongness as very well, like extremely well. So that's also great. Now, I also said at the beginning of this video why they are great for Fallout as a whole. The Institute are technically introduced in Fallout 3 along with the Railroad in a small quest off to the end. Forgive me if I'm wrong in saying that. I have not played Fallout 3 for years. It was my first... I said in my first Fallout video it was Fallout 4 was my first Fallout, but no, when I was about 8 or like... Oh God, it must have been 8. No, 10, maybe 10, I don't know. I got Fallout 3 and I loved it, so yeah, that was my first Fallout. I hear it's not as good anymore, but like I say, I haven't played it for years now, so yeah. I digress though. The thing with the Institute for me is the ending. Once again, I always say with multiple choice ending games, never ever declare ever which ending is canon, because in Fallout I feel like it ruins it. I know they did that for Fallout 3 and I understand why they did it, but I just hate when like they make canon endings. I really don't like it. If you're gonna have a multi-choice game, always leave it ambiguous. And I'm really hoping that we see some form of the Institute in another game. I'd like to think that they somehow expanded, somehow, like, I know that obviously all the other endings, you kill them, you blow them up, like, there's no way around that. So I'd really like to see them in the other game, because imagine this, imagine in another Fallout, they go again, use them even as a side quest, these boogeymen are watching you or something, and they're slowly, you see them in towns, you see like a sheriff who you get on with, or like a mayor you get on with, and then you see him get replaced. They sort of do that in Fallout 4 with Mayor Dunn, who is a synth, but imagine that, like, there's this mass panic in a town, or a town can, like, blow up or something, because the Institute penetrate it and get in. I mean, that sort of fear in a Fallout game, I would love to see something like that. Like, imagine the Institute and the Minutemen had more connection. Like, perhaps one day you're the general and you're coming home and you're patrolling or something. You come back to Castle Base, and I don't know. You in my world of being general, let's say you could apply or like make someone leader of a base. And then your leader starts acting all weird, and you realise he's like a synth. I mean, it creates such cool things, and it just makes the Fallout universe so much more bigger. I apologise if you just heard that notification. Also, if you haven't played Fallout 4, the Institute guns are just great. I really enjoy them. The design of the guns in Fallout 4, I'll show you some now, but they just look great, and the Institute are definitely they're definitely an exception in the fact of quality. Just, it goes through the roof. I love, it's so janky. It looks like a square and like a, you know, like like sort of like a toothbrush, but like the design and like the color palette. I don't know. and they're kind of useless, but the design's great. I absolutely love the design. So yeah. However, I'm not all happy with the Institute. I do think there are some glaring problems, and the first one occurs with your son. Sean is way too much of a dick. He is way too much just mean in Fallout 4, and it makes him so unlikable, like so unlikable. It's quite frustrating. Easy fix for this: have a much more balanced Sean, have a more compassionate Sean, and make sure he doesn't talk about how he used you as a science experiment. That's all a bit odd, or at least have him convince you that he doesn't, because gosh, it just does not, it makes you hate him so much, and I've seen so many people change their mind like that, the minute that scene comes up with him, when he explains to you that he only let you go out the cryotube because he wanted to see if you'd live. Like, it's just so fucked, and it's just not needed. So I'd cut that out. I would make the synths more powerful. I'd have a Gen 3 or something synth, like the newest gen possible, and I'd have this synth be able to, like, he's bullet resistant. He's like what they hyped the Encorsers up to be, but he's like, I don't know, I'd give him a name like the Death Synth or something like that. I know that sounds dumb, but you know, something badass, and something that all the factions fear and don't want to fight. And then when you meet them, you only meet like 3 in the whole game, but they are so powerful. Something like that would be incredibly cool. But yes, I'd also love more moments where they're building tension, and more moments where, you know, there's just interactions with synths and stuff, where like people are replaced, or there's a synth in the Brotherhood, or there's a synth in the Minutemen, or something's happened to do with the Railroad. Stuff like that, to me, really drives the plot forward and drives the world building of Fallout 4 forward, and I very much appreciate it. And then finally, I think refining and, you know, fine-tuning the quests would be nice. Once you're in the Institute, some of the quests are just a bit strange, and especially like they get a bit repetitive, because like basically the side quests for the Institute are quite sciencey, and it's very similar with any other science quest. It's just a fetch quest. So I wish they sort of refined that. I wish combat was a bit more fun, and I wish the characters in the Institute were better, because by far, oh my gosh, they are all just so like wet flannels, like they just don't work at all. It's bad, it's bad. And I know you might say at this bit, okay, Truth, here you go again, but the endings for the Institute are pretty great. I just wish there was a bigger show of force of like their technology and stuff. Like, I have no problem with the endings for the Institute. They're probably my favourite in the game, like, next to the Brotherhood. Well, I don't know. But, yeah, the Institute's my favourite ending to, like, overall battle and ending to the game. I just wish there was, like, a bigger show of their technology, and a bigger, like, well done at the end. Like, and once again, here's a massive problem with Fallout 4. After you kill the Brotherhood and the Railroad and well, not the Minutemen, but yeah, the Brotherhood and the Railroad, I wish there was more. I wish there was, like, because Father gets very ill at the end, I wish, like, you took control and you then, like, made a massive end decision about do we stay underground or do we go up to the top, and then, like, perhaps there's a mini load of quests, like mini quests, where, like, if you choose to stay under the ground, you, like, have to fight off ghouls and stuff, and, like, dig tunnels under the ground and find equipment for the tunnels. And if you choose to above ground, you have to set up the first, like, Institute base above ground. I just think that would also be a cool thing. Overall, I really like the Institute. While they're not really my first pick to, and they weren't my first pick on my first playthrough. I went with the Minutemen, actually, which a lot of you might be going, whoa, I thought your Minutemen video was a trash talk on them. Guys, I do like the Minutemen, I swear. Anyway, though, whilst they weren't my first pick, I really appreciate them. I like their art design. I like how futuristic they are in Fallout, and I do certainly like their quests. But yeah, they just weren't my first choice. But yeah, I do really like the Institute, and I really appreciate how hard Bethesda definitely tried with them. While they do have some absolutely glaring flaws, the Institute are probably my favourite faction. So this has been why their presence in Fallout 4 works so well, and what could Bethesda do to improve them, or what could have they done to improve them. Please, I really do appreciate all of your support. Anyone who subscribes, I appreciate you always. I'm building a channel here, I'm building a community, hopefully. I'm trying to get to 1k subs by the end of the video. by the end of the video. Oh gosh, that'd be mad. 1k subs by the end of the month, so I don't know how well this video will do. My Fallout ones are doing quite well, so please check out all my other Fallout stuff, and please check out some of my content that's not Fallout if you feel free. Only if you've got the time though, guys. It's your choice, always, obviously. So, I hope you guys have had a fantastic day. Have a great rest of your day or night or whenever you're watching this video. You always stay safe, stay true. This has been Truth. Let me know what you want to see next. Should I rank the bases? Should I rank another faction or something in a Fallout game? Just let me know. Thank you guys ever so much for watching. This has been Truth. Peace.